intro. Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, let me do my intro. Hi, welcome to a Cafecito series. I'm Christiana, your host. Thank you so much for joining in. We have an amazing guest as always. Today, it's my cousin brother from another mother, Taryell Simmons.
Speaking of I'm still feeling hype off of the couple weeks ago, the battle from Ludacris and Nelly.
Oh.
I didn't realize how many hits Luda got in the bag. No offense to Nelly, my country brother, but I was on team Ludacris. I know it's supposed to be a celebration and not a battle, but that's just my humble opinion, y'all. That's my humble opinion.
Nobody hating on you with your opinions on your music because obviously your taste is good. I see your Purple Rain t-shirt on.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. Yeah, listen. Classics. So,
absolutely.
See, this brother is very talented. He can sing. He can act. I don't know. I just threw that in there. Charismatic. So for me, that means you can act. Charismatic, you can get the crowd popping. But everyone, T Simmons, Taryell. Taryell, introduce yourself real quick. Tell the people who you are.
Taryell Simmons. Who is that? I'm still finding out that answer to that question each and every day.
Already.
I'm still evolving. God's still working on me, and with His plan, I'm gonna get there to the ultimate version one day. But who I currently am is I'm a man walking in faith, trying to just build businesses and opportunities for my community and my people, so that we can be the best version of ourselves. And I do that in many different ways, like workforce consulting, workforce development. I would put together workforce programs at the community college level and small businesses, and build that connection there. I do a radio show, Let's Talk About It, on God's Radio 1, where we talk about all things concerning the Black community, and how do we deal? How do we work through it, or just get the opinions from not only the community itself, but people operating in different professional spaces and businesses and looking for solutions and things of that nature. What else?
The
EVO
tour.
grant. Oh, Culture Casino, yeah. See, I got so many things going on. I had to Culture Casino. So Culture Casino, that's a baby of mine that started because we were looking at a different way of implementing diversity and inclusion. We wanted to start at the foundation of community by offering these little community tours to give the history, background of the community, and some of the small businesses that really make the community home and really uplift the community. And we started, it's me and two other co-founders. We started in why am I losing track of where we started? in Normal Heights. We started in Normal Heights. Actually, technically, if I want to be real technical, the first one we actually did we didn't launch it to the public was in Barrio Logan, and in San Diego. In San Diego, and just to kind of see if the concept had legs and see if it will work and resonate with people, or something that they want to do. And then we decided to launch the first one to the public in Normal Heights, because that's where me and my co-founders originally met, and we ate and we broke bread together. And the whole concept is we all came from different backgrounds, races, and idealisms, and we were able to have very fluid conversation and participate in each other's lives and became friends. It started by us for our love for food and first breaking bread. So if we can create an organic experience like that, the first thing was to tour the community, know the history of the community, the real history of the community. Yeah. And then we go break bread, where we learn about everybody that was in the group for that walking tour, and it starts to bring down those layers and have organic conversation where people get to know each other.
I love it. And then the other venture that you and your co-founders are in the process of building up is more in the tech space, right?
Yeah, so it's more like fintech. So that'd be my brother from another mother, Luis. You should know him. You know, we the plug partner. So we participated in a startup weekend competition a couple years ago. We won first place for an ideal. At the time, it was called Easy Grant, but we shifted the name to EVO Grant, which is going to be a SaaS software and platform to help nonprofits found foundation funding and grant funding faster. So we realized that there's a problem in that space. Same old thing's been happening year after year. It's difficult for small, medium nonprofits to find funding. So we want to be the first in the market to create a real full service solution for that and really give them an edge up. And then hopefully at some point hold these foundations that give the money accountable, make sure they put their money where their mouth is.
I love it. I love it. And for me, coming from a background of prevention, education, and mental health, working in the nonprofit private sector for, almost 10 years, this is something that I know is terribly needed. You know, I was a grant writer, a solo grant writer for a good 5 to 6 years. And prior to that, I worked on a team of 3. And I was the 4th one. Sometimes we were like a team to 5 to 6. But one of the things that was so effective was we had mentors that helped coach us and guide us and give us what is needed in order to help us secure the grant. And it took some time. However, everyone don't have those resources. I mean, we were a multi-million-dollar nonprofit. So we had the resources there, and that's where I honed my skills. But again, one of the things that we saw in the community was the need for securing funds and partnering with groups like coalitions, because again, coalitions, it fits into that sector where you're not necessarily a nonprofit, but you still are seeking funds, and also you have to apply with someone who may take a large percentage, leaving you, you know, again, in the same boat that you were before, where you're still needing more funds. So anyway, I think it's a great vision that you all have. I'm excited that you guys are to get this stood up, and more to come.
Right. And to piggyback off what you're saying, I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day, and they was telling me about their struggles, and they was like, "Hey, you know, is your software up yet? We really need it right now." And I was like, "No, we not up yet. We still in the process of building phase, but now so more than ever it's needed, because if you look at what the government's done with all the bailouts of these corporations, a lot of money went to the corporations, but do you see any bailout for the nonprofits that are out there saving and changing lives and are the focal point of like really building and helping communities? And there's no money in the pot for them.
Yeah, they're literally the essential workers in the business sector, but are not getting the assistance that they really need. And unfortunately, everybody's going for the same money. And I also have my consulting company, and so my one of my co-writers on that with my company, we were discussing the same thing, where a lot of these nonprofits, she actually works for a nonprofit, but we're going all for the same funding. Like literally, we're all going. So if you are a small business owner, you're writing for the same money that a small nonprofit to a multi-million-dollar nonprofit is applying for. Who do you think is going to get that money? And and then on top of that, the frustration for a lot of these organizations, to your point, people reaching out saying, where can I go to one place to find everything? And so I'm getting a lot of calls. They're keeping me busy because I'm doing a lot of work that I look forward to EVO Grant doing, so that I can go, hey, just connect with EVO Grant, and they'll point you in the right direction to do a lot of work. So you're so the work that you do, and we're going to deep dive into it a little bit more. But take me back. Let's go back way back.
Way back.
How far back you want to go, but take me back. I mean, this is not something that recently developed, right? This is oftentimes I talk to people and I will ask them, you know, share your journey with me. It's what I believe is the ingredients necessary for us to really conceptualize where we're going and how we need to get there, because we take from what we've learned to build the road for where we're going. So take me on a journey. Where did T come from? How did T
Where did T come from? How did he get here?
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, it's funny. I was before we did this call right now, I had to talk to a bunch of high schoolers, and a friend of mine who works with the public school system, he's like, "Hey, we're doing this series where we get so they students can see what it's like, right? And get a take before they graduate high school. Like, you know what? I saw this one person in this career path and I want to explore it." And I'm like, talking to them like, all right, cool. Which career journey do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about me as an HR professional, or like, which one do you want me to talk about? He's like, he's like, talk about the entrepreneurship one, because that's the one that they're most interested in. So I'm gonna talk to it from that lens. Who is T? And you know, I grew up in Washington, D.C. I grew up in a town in D.C. when it was Chocolate City.
In
D.C. I grew up in a household. So a lot of people are starting to figure this out and know this about me, is that I was raised by my stepdad, who's Nigerian. So I grew up in a Nigerian household, in a very Black environment. And in my Black environment, we had all sorts of Black. We had Black Americans, we had Jamaicans, working 3 to 4 jobs, man. The flight attendant, the stewardess.
Let's lay it on.
Then I had the Nigerians over here where we get together like, please, my brother, I have my Black Americans who grew up in America. So I traveled between those different frequencies and how I grew up.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would say was interesting about my path and journey growing up as I evolved as a person was, depending on what circle I was with, each influence of Black had a different culture and perspective and how they rolled to them. And it was interesting where I would sometimes be in cultures where my Black Americans didn't get along with my Africans, and my Africans didn't get along with my Black Americans. And so depending on how they identify me at the time would depend on how they really rock with me, right?
Wow. This is a good perspective. I've never actually talked with anyone about this.
Yeah, so I grew up in, not having my biological dad, who was not a jail, but he was he was much a provider. He wasn't like, oh, come here, let me give you a hug, and we love on you, and that type of, and that's what I was kind of missing, but he provided all the other elements. And so I always went to the streets to kind of learn what it was like to be a man, which often led me down the wrong path, led me in trouble, some social emotional issues there growing up, and then being labeled with ADD in school. That was like the nail in the coffin, because teachers treat you a certain way, and then it took me down this path. It was I remember. Oh no, not senior. Probably junior sophomore year of being in front of the judge, and the judge saying that, I don't want to see you in my courtroom again, or I'm sending you to jail. And I remember that was a light switch hit off in me, like, oh, I gotta do something different with my life. I knew I didn't want to be anything like my biological dad. So, and my stepdad was always preaching education, but I didn't think I was talented and smart enough, because what the school system had implemented in me with ADD and all that stuff. And I didn't have the grades to, I think, go to college. And I was always into art, but if you grew up in a Nigerian, especially first generation immigrant family type of household, you are not going to do art, my friend. How are you going to pay bills? Please. you are either you are going to be an engineer or you are going to do something lawyer. None of these are
or a doctor.
Or a doctor, right? These are your career choices. Something that makes money, right?
Something that's guaranteed to sustain you.
Guaranteed to sustain you. And so this was the push. It wasn't, I met my mentor towards my 11th and senior year. And my mentor was a white Jewish guy. I did community service. And often I would call myself doing himself a favor because he would come to the hood looking for me, trying to get me involved in the program. And then I'm like, oh, let me go with this white man before he get himself hurt.
You're like, I'm trying to save his life. He don't know this.
Yeah. And literally, he changed my perspective. He really was one of the first people to really dive into me, get to know me as a person and so forth. And that year, he set me on this path and journey where we got to learn about this project that turned into a science fair project, and it eventually took me to the White House. So that's where the first perspective change happened for me. Over to the West Coast where I got into America because my first attempt at school was at UDC and I dropped out, and then I eventually got into America, which got me over to California. And then it took me 7 years or so, but I finally finished school, then finished my master's, joined the corporate world, right?
So let me hold right there before we keep going. Let's go back to something that you spoke in depth about, but I wanna take us back there because so many of our brown and Black boys find themselves at the crossroads as you did. So early on, you talk about how your father, your biological father, was not able to be there. He had gone down the road. And unfortunately, there was no redemption for him at the time. Mm-hmm. And for you, you found yourself going down that same road. There was redemption for you. And because of that, you are where you are today. Talk a little bit about what happens when we give second, third, fourth, fifth chances that we give our white counterpart, young boys, that allow them to overcome those early hardships. Because again, I tell people, I had to learn how to not judge how we grow in life. We all grow differently, and our growing pains sprout out differently. Some growing pains sprout out where they have an early violent, type of personality, and others, they're very, quiet and introvert, and others, they're comedians, but they get in trouble, and so it's whatever. But, as we're growing through life and trying to figure out which path we're going to go down, we get penalized, especially, and this is coming from not just my experience growing up as a Black young girl with Black brothers myself, but also working in the school system and seeing how strongly penalized our Black and brown boys were compared to their white counterparts. So talk a little bit to me about how that redemption happened for you and ways that you can see that we can help those young boys today.
Yeah. And so I think, well, to answer the first question, the redemption didn't really happen to me too much later. The evolution started at that point because all those lessons that I learned in school, the hard ones too, just how society looks at us as a people, how the label can really cause a state of mind that doesn't really reflect another relative. I can't remember, it was my grandma or aunt that sat down with me like, when you get over here, you cracking jokes, you happy-go-lucky, but you over there on the corner hanging out with people who just miserable and ain't doing nothing with their lives. If you supposed to be this person that I see you being, happy-go-lucky, life of the party and a connector, why you over there with these people letting them dim your light? Like, she's like, you need to figure out who you are. who are you? Because I the person that you is over there when you out on the corner with them streets with them young folks, I don't know who that is.
How old were you at the time?
Around, I think I was 14 or 15 when I had this conversation. And it didn't dawn on me until like much later in my life, but it dawned on me more so when I met a young man, and I'm fast forwarding here, called his name is Nate Howard, and we had
Movement B. Shout out to
Movement B.
Nate, we love you. What you doing? Yeah,
big shout out to Nate Howard.
That's right.
I was doing a career development program. They had brought this brother in, and we did a series of workshops. He did the first half, and then he would have this poem and stuff that he talks about, where he asks the kids over and over, "Who are you? Who are you?" Right? And they said, "I am strong. I am kind. I am." And then I was like, "Man!" And then it started that conversation I had, and everything that I was feeling started to come back again. I was like, "Man, this is hitting home."
Yeah.
So it really starts with self, and who do we believe we are, right? And sometimes that, whether we working in the system, the school system, or even our own homes, there's a lot of and from my perspective, navigating through different Black communities and being a part of different Blackness growing up, we get embedded in a certain type of self-hate and self-destruction, and then our counterparts look at us with a certain type of negativity of who we are and who we're supposed to be, and that mindset is so detrimental to our growth and development at a career level. So anytime, and just to fast forward, how I talk to people when they're starting about their new career business, you kind of have to really start with yourself. Who are you? One, who are you, right? Are you more connected to your purpose, your why? Simon Sinek actually has a good book on this, where he says, start with why. Like, why do you
have that book? Yep.
Yeah. Why do you do what you do? What's your purpose, right? You really have to hone in on that if you're going to be successful in life as a person or in a business. That's the most important foundation. A lot of people know how they do what they do or what you do, but a lot of very little people, great leaders, only great leaders know why they do what they do. They know their purpose and connected to their passion and purpose.
Yes.
And that's what it really starts with. Hopefully I answered that question. I went the long way to answer it.
First of all, I agree with everything that you have said about, how to help someone get from a place if they don't really see it as destruction. They're just exploring. They're trying to figure it out, right? But helping them in the early years with starting with why, and who are you? Those are the two main questions. The first question is, who are you? Tell me. I don't even say, who are you? I say, tell me about you. Tell me about you. Because sometimes, especially when I'm working with kindergartners, if I say, who are you? They're like, I don't know, literally, I don't know. But if I say, tell me about you, tell me, and they're like, tell me about me, and then they're able to conceptualize and put into words. And so I like that. But the other part that you spoke about for you, the pivotal role that helped in what direction you're going in is was it your grandmother or your mom asking you?
So it was that, and it was a combination of my mentor, who is still friends with me to this day. Because, family at the time, I know my family meant well, right? But the guidance that they were giving me was not connected to, not the grandma, but, my dad they meant well. They wanted me to get a career, right? That was but the directions and the way they were talking and pushing me was not aligned to, any of my values and who I was as a person. And I didn't know what that was then, right? So I just knew that at that time as a youngster, like, man, these people don't know me. They, they don't know nothing about my life. They're just trying to push me in the direction,
Yeah.
And so you get, as a youngster, you get rebellious to that, right? And you didn't want to hear it. Can't nobody tell you.
Right? You can't tell.
And so here was this Jewish man coming in, who was my mentor, trying to really get to know me. Tell me about yourself. And really just diving into me.
Yeah.
And pulling out, you know what? I think I see a quality in here in you. I think you should explore, right? And then look, prime example. I went to the White House. I met the vice president after doing this project, and then he starts talking to me about college. I was like, you got the wrong person. People like me don't go to college. I ain't no athlete. I ain't got a good grade. I ain't got this. I ain't got that.
Narrative.
I got ADD. I started telling him all the things about me that was negative about me. And he's like, okay, I see, but with a bunch of other scholars. You just was in the White House that do that.
Right.
I started thinking, I was like, okay, you got me.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you try? If it's something that you want to do, why don't you try? What's the worst that happens?
Right.
And then so we started off on that tip, and then we started applying the places I got in, and I was like, whoa, wait, maybe I can do this.
Right.
Maybe I'm not what they say I am, right?
Yeah. You started changing the narrative because you were, the idea was sparked in you to say, maybe you should question this.
Yeah. And then from that, I started the journey of like, all right, well, if I'm not that, who am I? Right?
Yeah, exactly. So if this is the narrative I believe, and this is not necessarily the truth, then what is the truth? Yeah. I think right there, that's the key that, we need to, as adults, look at when we're giving back to our youth, instead of us condemning them and say, this was wrong with our youth today. I mean, because again, we're perpetuating the same narrative that was put on us. The generation before us was like, I'm turning and doing it to the next generation. I think, to your point of saying, look, this is what helped pull me out. Someone challenged the narrative that I had believed, and it was someone that was in my inner circle. And if you don't have someone in that close inner circle, that family unit that is able to challenge the behavior that you're displaying in a way that makes you want to lean in as opposed to lean back away from them, I think then it has to be someone outside of that narrative, whether it be in school or your community. I'm grateful that you have that. And then looking forward, programs like you said, Movement B, which I'm a part of actually under my consulting. I love what you do. And I'm excited.
And it's a real big thing, because in our community, we have so many limiting beliefs. There's so many limiting beliefs. And some of these limiting beliefs that we have do not serve us properly.
No.
And so I find myself, because even if after you get rid of a limiting belief of yourself or your community or anything, you find yourself always struggling. They're like barnacles on a chip. They say, get off the shit once again, right? So you always have to continuously challenge the limiting beliefs. And where did this limiting belief come from, right? And how did it get implanted in you? And so what are you going to do now to change the narrative or set up a scenario that allows you to look at that limiting belief in its ugly eye and change it or dismantle it so that it doesn't hinder you from moving forward in life and in your business?
Absolutely. So let's fast forward then to California now. So you're on the West Coast, and
California, no time to party.
I love this. We have a song for everything,
Right.
I don't have a QR. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna have music. So you're in Cali and you are building that foundation here, right? You had to hit hard, right? Coming out here, you had built community in DC, and then you come here, and now you have to hit restart. But restart is not starting from where you first began, right? Mm-hmm. You now have all of this knowledge that you built up to this point to help you go to the next level. So walk us through, like, what did you do when you moved out here?
Yeah, so the journey to California, so the first year I spent going up and down the West Coast doing habitat management projects with AmeriCorps. And I remember my first time touching down in Cali, because, you know, keep in mind, I came from DC, Chocolate City. So the first thing I touched down, like, oh my goodness, it was culture shock. Like, where is all the Black people?
Wait, were you in LA or San Diego?
I was in San Diego.
Oh yeah, they ain't pandemic differently. So some people are flowing and doing great, and their money is still coming in, and so this is vacation time for them, and they're Netflixing and chilling. Other people, they're laid off, and they're trying to figure out how much of their savings are they gonna run through before they get back to working. And then there's the other people who have had to pick up other jobs as supplement because the money have slowed down. So if someone is looking to pivot into a different career during this time, which I support wholeheartedly, I think this is a great time to be creative and look at other.
It's the perfect time to do that.
What are your what's your recommendation?
I said now's the perfect time to reinvent yourself. If anything, I think James Altucher, he has a book called Reinvent Yourself. I had read it one time before, but if you're looking to do that pivot, I mean, even myself right now, we're doing a pivot right now with Culture Casino, being that, you know, we're not getting together in groups to do tours now, so we're looking at how we reinvent that business. Some of my speaking engagements have been canceled or slowed down due to COVID. So guess what I did? I pivot. I was like, all right, you know what? This is perfect, because I've been wanting to start a podcast. I needed some more time to focus on the radio thing that I've been doing. So now I've been working on those businesses and those business models. So you do this and that. So now I've been taking time to do those things and implement those things. Giving people the guideline and blueprint of what I taught in the classroom to help people grow their careers and get, I don't know how many people, it was mostly young adults from low-income neighborhoods that we got into jobs, but it's since it's evolved now where I've worked with adults. I've worked with people in corporations, people in HR departments, and I've helped them personally kind of do a pivot in their job or career and really help them get to where they actually need to be. And I was able to do it because I did it myself, and I did it more than once. And so really me just sitting down and doing a pivot and starting to put this stuff on paper and giving the resources and so forth. So people who want to make that pivot and transition in life, so they can build a life on their terms, a life that they're happy with, a career that they're happy with. Because you spend 80% of your time in your career, you might as well do something you love. Come on now.
Absolutely. So in closing, and you've already highlighted on it a lot of it, but what would your call to action, because you've shared so much that you're doing right now, creative and pivoting, what's your call to action for those who may be feeling frustrated or saying, you have more opportunity than me, or whatever. What's your call to action for folks? If they go out, where to start?
Start with self. If you're frustrated, what's frustrating you, right? Did you lose a boss that is not committed to your well-being? Like, politics bogging you down? Are you not being challenged in life by your career? You need a challenge. What is it right now at this point? You gotta start in life and do that. Do some real self-evaluation. Once you figure that out, this is when you start the game plan. All right, I'm not being challenged at work, right? all right, look at your sphere of influence, who's around you, how could you connect to them and say, hey, or that boss, have a real sit down with them and say, hey, you know what? I know some things are taken off my plate. I'm not feeling challenged, and this is where I thrive at. How can we change this? Or what can we do? If there's something at work that you don't understand, my favorite thing, the phrase to say to even if it's at work, business investors, whoever you're in association with, help me understand, right? You can sit down, help me understand so that you can understand, but you need to understand yourself too. What is it that you need? What is it that you want to do? What is your purpose, right? Figure that out. And then from there, figure out how you're going to get it done. What's the next steps you need to do? And invest in self first.
Yeah.
You would never lose if you invest in self first. Whatever that looks like for you, on your budget, on your time. There's, if you don't even know where to start, your Myers-Briggs, different things like this, different self-assessment that allows you to see what are your strengths. I say do 3 different ones. One that does like your strengths, one that does your values, one that does your interests, and then look at what keeps popping up for you. And then use things like NeoGov and ONET to kind of narrow it down based on what are the careers that best fit your strength, your personality type, and your interests. And then narrow it down to the top 3 that you really enjoy or love. And once you get that narrowed down, start to develop the game plan of how you're going to get there.
Yes, I love it. I love it. For taking out time to share your journey with us and drop so many nuggets that our listeners, our viewers can take and actually implement in their day-to-day lives, whether they are in the beginning of their shared can be taken and implemented. Tell the people where they can find you.
So you can find me at Taryells.com. The website is still being built up, but if you put your email address in there, you'll be added to my newsletter, and I'll let you know when we start to roll out all this materials. You can also find me on my Instagram, TARYELLS, Twitter, Facebook. What's the other social media sites? You know all of those. All of them. Just look for all of them. He's also. I have an episode coming on. Say it again.
I said you're also on We the Plug membership network.
Oh yeah, I'm also on We the Plug. Can't forget to plug that. Connect with me on We the Plug. We can message. Tomorrow I'll be on God's One Radio. We do this every Tuesday at 7 p.m. where we interview different business leaders in our community and give you tips and tricks. Well, I wouldn't say tips and tricks. We talk about everything from personal development and professional and personal development growth for our community.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is perfect. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for taking out the time to talk with us today on the Cafecito series.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you and all that you're doing to change the narrative for our community. That's right. Thank you for the songs. I love it. I love it. I love it. But again, thank you for all that you're doing to change the narrative for how our community is not only going to survive, but thrive through this pandemic and beyond. So thank you, my friend.
That's my goal in life. I want our community to, we're not living just to survive. We here to thrive. I want everybody to thrive.
Yes.
Thank you for everything you're doing before we head out. This is amazing what you're doing. I got to see you and Luis build this thing out, and it's building and it's growing, and it's so amazing. You keep up the great work as well. And last shout out to Prince. We ain't never gonna let the elevator take you down.
Yo, and on that note, we will see you on our next series.